Wondering how to make your first $100,000 as a Christian entrepreneur? Watch this ultimate compilation video from our business series. Enjoy.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Today for Tomorrow podcast. If you have not subscribed to the channel, I want you to go ahead and just take a moment, look for it on your screen. Go ahead and press that button. Thank you. All right, we are here for the first time. You are seeing Martell and Mr. Mike in one episode together. Nobody else. Mr. Rodney, or I'm thinking about the mentoring. Rodney, it had to take a call, so we have an exclusive, y'all. So I know it's gonna be absolutely phenomenal. Mike, how you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm feeling great. It's been a challenging week, but it's been a fruitful week. So
Good.
How you doing?
I'm doing good. We was just talking a second ago. We were talking about a few things. We might get into that in a second, but the rationale that we was kind of walking through was essentially because we do business, and so doing business, you get to a point where you realize like there are certain times where you have to pedal to the floor and go. I mean, head down and work. And then there's times where, you've been pedaling for so long, using like a bike as an analogy here. When you pedaling, but then you can, cruise. You can slow the pedal down, but everything still has to keep moving. And then you go back to pedaling. And so in those seasons, it's like identifying when that season is there and identifying when, you've gone to a next season. Because the reality is if you feel like everything is just stable right now, just know that most likely you're gonna get into one, a tough season or a more push season. And if you're in one round, just know it's not gonna last forever. It goes like that. So initial thoughts.
So my initial thoughts is when you made the statement, we do business, I wanted to dive a little bit deeper into that because a lot of people do business. Mm-hmm. So me, I'm a person that I love to pay the cost. Like I want to earn my stripes. Mm-hmm. And so when we say we do business, it's a difference between just kind of like, kicking the tires and trying out this and, sell a couple products over here versus submerging yourself into something. And, like I always say, like I'm a full-time entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. I've been doing entrepreneurship officially since 2012, but I've been full-time since 2022. I feed my family on this. I have a family of 6, a wife, 4 kids. I feed a lot of other people off of this business, man. So when we say we do business, we're saying like, we submerge ourselves into mm-hmm. something and we fully are committed to realizing this vision that God put on our heart. So you say, what's your initial thoughts? I know I took the scenic route to saying it, but being totally honest, that's what I was thinking when you said that, like, we do business and we because the thing is, in today's society where everybody or anybody can flip on a camera and get on the social media or a podcast, YouTube, say, hey, I'm a business guy. It's
I sell t-shirts.
Yeah, it's a lot of
part-time.
It's like the wild west where it's too much muddy waters. Like I think it does need to be some distinction and certain like credentials for levels that have mm-hmm. been accomplished.
Yeah, full time. We there's no this isn't a part-time thing. It's not a hobby. It's something that we eat from. And something that there's a purpose to it. It's meant to build and it's meant to affect a lot. So definitely, I appreciate you for saying that.
Yeah.
Now, in terms of like your, experience in business and how things have gone, when would you say that you had a real push season, and what kind of led to it? And while you were in it, what were your thoughts?
It's funny because I'm laughing because, to be honest, it's way more push seasons than it is like smooth selling. Mm-hmm. When you're building something from scratch as a first generation full-time entrepreneur, I mean, we literally had to build out the infrastructure. We had to build out the foundation. We had to make sure that, as we built on top of the foundation, we got to go back to the foundation and make sure that it's still strong enough and resilient enough to hold the additional layers that we put on, because we're adding layers that we've never been before. We weren't given the blueprint or the SOPs. We're the generation that's creating it. So I would say the phase that we've been in for over 10 years, the majority has been stabilization, because it's so much emphasis on foundational building. Now I'm seeing, like, in the past few years, we're at the point where we're going to the optimized phase. So that's the next level, where the foundation is pretty sturdy, because we've gone through our certifications, we've gone through our checks. It's pretty sturdy. So now it's like, okay, how do we optimize? And that's when you come with, bringing more trusted people on the team and truly digging out the vision. So going back to your original question, many phases. I mean, I'm in a push phase right now. I'm in a push phase because I'm pushing to accomplish a level that I haven't seen anymore with my natural eye. But the vision is on my heart. I feel like God is like, no, we got more for you. Take this next step. And I'm like, God, I don't see a next step.
Yeah.
You sure? Just trust me. Take this next step. And I'm stepping, and the next step is appearing just in time. And then it's like, all right, cool, we got through that. We feel good. And it's like, okay, I need you to take 2 more steps.
Uh-oh.
He's like, listen, man.
Wait a minute. I just took the last
I just survived that last one. Like, are you sure? And that's the push-pull where I'm at, where, we're pushing because we're really trying to empty this bucket. And I don't want to leave no stone unturned while I'm on this earth.
2 things. That last point, but also too, I think let's foundation. He talked about building that foundation. I think when we for anybody who's interested in, starting a business, developing, or you have a business, you're trying to grow the business, we know that there are different stages to it. And so that development, if we just had to put some practical viewpoints or signs up so you know where you at, I think initially you're trying to figure out, okay, what is my product? What is my service? What is my thing that I'm going to use to actually serve the marketplace? And a part of that, I believe, is kind of looking inward, understanding what your strengths are, understanding what you actually have to offer, because you ain't meant to do everything and you cannot serve everybody. And so first starting there, I think that's that first initial, okay, I'm getting something, I'm understanding what I'm gonna do, how I'm gonna do it. That's where you kind of test the market a little bit. Yeah. But then, like, the next stage, before you can actually graduate to the next stage, you have to actually have something and have served somebody. I heard at one time that you're not in business until a transaction is made. It's all idea. Some people will tell you, oh yeah, no, I'm an entrepreneur. And they just talking about the idea that they have of something that they will do at some point later on down the road. Yeah. And it's like, no, you ain't in business until you have a obligation to actually do something, because something transacted to where now it's time to actually fulfill that. So first stage, first foundation, tell me about what was the development, not the scale, not the multiply, but what was the fruitful stage for you?
In the first stage, like the early stages, I would say my business is real estate. So just to add some context, I always tell people, based off my own experience, the first 3 houses that I wanted to acquire, it was literally like it felt like moving mountains. Every step I took, for every step of progress, it felt like it was 3 or 4 like obstacles that just magically appeared. And so, I mean, this took years. This was like a point where 2012, I had been saving up. I had been running analysis. I'm trying to lock in deals. Things are just falling through the cracks. So I'm like, man, it's just, then you start to question yourself, like, is this really for me? Because if it's for me, people always say, hey, if it's your natural gift, shouldn't it just come easy to you? And I'm like, yo, this is hard. Like, this is tremendously hard. So then another set of people came to give me those demotivational talks. Man, you don't want to do that. What if a toilet goes out at 4 a.m? And I'm like, well, I call a plumber. Like, but they're like, no, you don't want to do that. You know, so they're telling me that. And so I'm going back, I'm questioning myself, like, does this really, but going back to your question, the point where I started seeing real fruit was after I would set goals, daily goals, and then I was able to execute my daily progress. And I know most people don't want to hear this because I'm going back to that process talk. When I stopped focusing on, man, I gotta get 10 doors, or I gotta get 3 doors. All right, I gotta get this in 2 months. When I stopped doing that, scoreboard watching, and I said, you know what? I wanna sow 3 impactful seeds today. I mean, actually make sure I do it. Not just have 100 things on my to-do list and maybe I did 12 and maybe did it like average, not even wholeheartedly. I got 3 and I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna put all my might into it. And then tomorrow, I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna stack. And then so over time, I would look back and I was proud because I'm like, dang, I would have like a little agenda, and I would go back to my agenda and I would be going, checking off my list. And I'm looking at the days I was stacking. So then I became addicted to stacking days. And that was the focus versus the end result of getting these houses. That's when the fruit came, to be honest. Once I stopped focusing on getting houses, oddly enough, is when it actually started happening.
It's funny that you say that, because it's like, okay, so context, like he did. I do digital advertising. Specifically, I do it for salons. So like social media ads, content creation, that whole thing, we do it for salons. And so for me, the foundational spot, I didn't get to the point where I knew who I had to serve yet. Like I said, I was like, you got to figure out, okay, what can you do well that someone actually needs and wants? And then who are you going to do it for? My first stage, and so what he said, and I think this is pretty standard across the board, it is that very first stage is so hard because it's like, you don't have the experience yet to know what not to do, you know? And so it takes a lot of finding out, or a lot of work and bumping your head to kind of realize, okay, if I ran my head this way into this particular type of object, it's going to hurt me. And I probably shouldn't do that. And then you realize, okay, I can run in this direction. And so for me, like, I had to do a lot of market testing, okay? So I started off in video. That's a whole different thing. But this advertising part specifically, I did a lot of market testing. So I'm like, okay, I don't know what my audience is, but I know how to do this thing. Like I have experience enough in this to know that I can make this thing happen. And so I had to, I did it for a roofing company. My uncle, he has a roofing company. I did it for a video production company. I did it for a limo company. And I tested, like, I believe at this point it was like how many different markets? There was like somewhere around 10 different markets of figuring out, okay, who do I want to serve? Because I knew I had to fine tune it. Initially, I was too grand. I'm like, okay, service businesses. Okay, cool. I understand what the process is for making this happen for a roofer. I understand what it's like to get the people in order for a video production company. I know what it's like to get the people here, but I'm like, I don't like this business model. I don't like them because there's this particular conversion point that's just not working because there's so many things out of my control in this. So I had to, again, and I'm really giving y'all the detail here. I had to go through these and kind of identify what the strengths were, what the weaknesses were. And essentially I was trying to figure out, who can I serve and get the greatest result for them with the least amount of effort and work on an operational drag on my end. Because I know long-term, I can't have to do too many things in too many different ways, or else it's going to be difficult to scale it. It's going to be difficult to bring somebody in because it's too messy. So I figured out, okay, cool. Not only service businesses, but I know personal care business. Okay, and when I figured out personal care business, I'm like, okay, barbers, we got barbers, we got salons, and we got day spas, cool. And then I figured out, okay, barbers, salons, day spas, these two, they all work, but it was like, okay, and I understand that I can get the highest result for them because of their price point. Okay, cool. Now we're working with salons. And so it took a lot of work, and it's easy to say, but there's a lot of pain involved in that because there's a lot of not knowing. There's a lot of, oh shoot, I thought this was gonna happen, but it didn't happen. And so being fruitful was figuring out how to get the result, but then being able to actually graduate to the next step was figuring out who I could do it for.
You know what's interesting about, as I was listening to your context and I was thinking about my context, when you say, it's easy to say now, but it was a lot of pain to go through.
Mm.
This is what's interesting. Like when you think about the things that you've accomplished, we both play football. When you accomplish a high level of success, you had to go through a lot to get to that point. You had to go through some dog days in training camp. Mm. You had to have, for you to be a competitive team, you had to have other competitive players pushing you. There's going to be pain involved. Mm. But when you win a championship or you feel like you accomplished your goal, you forget about the pain. And the other correlation for the women I watch is like what we hear about with child labor. It's the closest thing to death, literally, that you can almost come to. But then after the baby is there, you don't even focus on that. You focus on the baby now. And so when we're talking about this business, another key thing that you mentioned, and we're trying to break it down into practicality. Like, okay, how can you guys take some of the lessons that we've learned and earned and kind of bring it to right size your situation out? Another thing that you mentioned was, what can I be the best in?
Yeah.
It's not something that you just like doing. What can you honestly be the best in and you enjoy doing? When you find those things, and then the third question is from a book called From Good to Great. What can you not be the best in? I think when you have these three questions and you spend a lot of time and you can fully answer those, that is where you need to spend a lot of focus on, because sometimes you get the answer by process of elimination. Mm-hmm. Me personally, I know I don't like doing some of the daily operations that come with my business. I don't like checking tasks on, during the inspections, or I gotta go to this site visit and put blue tape all across the wall where we need to touch it up. So now that I know I don't like it, if I don't like it, I'm not gonna be the best at it. So what do I have to do? It has to get done. Yeah. We gotta delegate. Those are the things we delegate. We pay somebody a fair rate. And some people don't mind when they like having 10 items on their checklist and they just go through, check it off, they get their hourly wage. It's all good. Me, I know I like spending my time in the visionary space. I want to spend most time in those meetings when we're having investors sitting down, and I have to be the one to communicate the vision because nobody else can communicate it the way I can, because it's my baby. I've spent time with this baby. I was the one going through the labor and the pre-labor before 2012 happened, before any sales transaction actually happened that the world could see. I spent 10,000 hours just going through those mental reps. So I have to be the one that communicates the vision that's going to attract other like-minded individuals.
I think, so go back, everybody, I need you to go to Genesis chapter 1, verse 28, okay? We've talked about this before, but I wanna restate it because everything that's being laid out right here, it's not okay, you be fruitful, then you multiply and you're not being fruitful anymore, then you replenish the earth, then you subdue it and you're not doing other things. Once you get to the next stage, you're doing them simultaneously. And the only way to do them simultaneously is to actually graduate to the next one and understand how to systemize it, how to delegate, how to grow and develop so that you can do the next one while still doing the other one. And so I think one thing that was that you had mentioned was understanding what you are good at and what you're not good at. Because in that stage of being fruitful, before you can multiply, in that stage of being fruitful, realizing like, okay, I'll say it like this. All good marketing attracts the right audience, but also repels the wrong ones. And so when you are in that lane of things that you have natural gifting in, and also a passion for, you can work harder than anybody else. Yeah. without it feeling like you're working harder than anybody else. Because you'll naturally be like, okay, there's some sort of curiosity about this. I just want to develop this thing more. And there's gonna be difficult times. Don't get me wrong. There's gonna be work that has to be done. That's not gonna feel all fantastic when you're doing it. But when you're in that lane, there's enough passion with it that you endure the difficult times of it. And so like moving to that next part, what I had to realize was, okay, wait a minute. I was able to be fruitful in this area. I was able to actually produce something that's good, valuable, something that somebody actually wants, that they can actually use. Like it's useful to somebody else. It's useful to somebody else. It's a selfless kind of thing. Right. But it's a beautiful thing. I mean, God has put all the principles in this thing. But so here's the thing. Once I figured that out, I had to realize, oh wait, if I'm gonna do this for more than just this person, at this time, with the time that I have to do it, I've got to be able to include someone else into this so that we can do more. Because if I've only got 24 hours in a day and I'm going to be sleeping for a portion of it, and then I'm going to be working, then I have to do every other thing that you have to do in normal life, I cannot do the vision without help. And so at that point, you might realize, okay, being fruitful in this area, I've been able to do it myself, but maybe I'm too unorganized in it, too unsystemized in it to actually hand somebody else any part of it. Because if you put somebody else in something that's disorganized, it's not gonna make it better. It's typically just gonna piss them off. They're gonna be trying to figure out, what am I supposed to do? Where am I supposed to go? And so in that, you kind of realize, okay, I do the same things every single time to get this particular result. And so you start documenting, you start recording it, you start building out processes and literally figuring out, okay, it's these particular steps that I take, it's this kind of thinking that actually produces this result. Now, I can have you do this part of it. I can have you do this part of it. And I hate doing this, and I know you're great at that, so I'll have you do that part of it. But before we even get to the stage where we have somebody doing something that we can't do, we got to figure out, okay, how can I systemize the things that I do know how to do so that we can grow past this stage?
Yep. And everything that he's describing, this is a great illustration on why that faking it till you make it culture is not sustainable. It does not work over time because of what he just described. When you genuinely love something and you believe that this is what you're supposed to do, you can endure the challenging times. The times that would normally break or deter other people that were just faking it till they made it. They said, you know what? It looks like this business makes money. Look at them, they're successful. I'm gonna jump over here and go do what they're doing. Bro, it's rocky over here. You don't even want these type, you're not even built to sustain this type of environment, man. And that's the hard part to try to convey to someone, because you don't want to extinguish their dreams, but you can look at the intangible evidence and kind of tell you, or at least I can. I can quickly analyze, does this person have what it takes? Not saying, are they going to be 100% successful? But do they have the intangible skill sets that are going to be needed to endure this type of terrain? This is trailblazing terrain. This is rocky terrain. This is not a smooth path. And another newsflash, this is why these type of industries make the big bucks. It's not because it's rocket science, it's because most people are not or cannot endure what's to come. And so they end up buying out, man, you can have that. I don't even care about the money. Y'all can have that over there. And that's why I say I love buying ugly houses. I love buying ugly houses because I can turn things into a beautiful house as long as numbers make sense, the core elements make sense, the foundation is there. Everything else is cosmetic because I've done everything else so many times. I've had to literally rebuild a house from the inside out multiple times at this point. But to someone that's coming in, a lot of these things look overwhelming. So I'm saying, man, I don't want that. I'm straight.
You put in so many reps in a thing to where now it's like it doesn't. So this is how they call it stages of learning. There's unconscious ignorance, then there's conscious ignorance, then there's unconscious, conscience intelligence, and then there's unconscious intelligence, where you get to a stage of mastery. So each of those different stages, it takes a lot of work. When you first see something, you're like, "Ooh, that looks like an opportunity. That's something I want to do." And you're so excited about it because it's like someone told you, "You can make a lot of money here. Oh man, you can work 4 hours a day or 4 hours a week and you'll be rich doing this thing."
Yeah.
And that's that unconscious ignorance where you jump in full force because like, "Oh man, this looks like an amazing thing. They said I could be a millionaire. I can own all the properties in the world. It's going to be great." And then you realize, "Oh wait, there's work. Gosh dang it.
Yeah.
There's so much I have to do here."
Nah, it's funny because it's another way of saying that I heard. It's called like triple darkness. It's like you don't know that you don't know that
You don't know.
Like it's a deep level of ignorance that you not only did you know the answers, you didn't even know to ask any questions.
Yeah.
You have no idea about anything. That's a dangerous spot to be in, but the reality is it's a lot of people living in that space.
Mm-hmm.
So I know we kind of get into that time. We want to be
got
practical.
a lot in
So
this episode.
We did get a lot. It was like on steroids. But as we turn the people down or turn them off, let's give them a couple, takeaways to try to recap some of the main points that they can, kind of build out that breadcrumb trail.
So this is definitely in the business series, but I believe it's part one because I'm thinking about 5 more things we could talk about just on the things that we just spoke about. And so, but takeaway for this one, we're talking about stage 1, the foundational area. I think a part of that, 1, look at yourself. Start there. What am I good at? What am I passionate about? And then look at what the opportunity is in that particular lane. Because you can pair those things and you can find something that you can actually do. And so I would say start there, because if you can find something that you don't mind getting lost in, getting into that flow state of I'm learning this thing, I'm developing in this area, and you can just continue to kind of be there, then I think you have the makings of finding somewhere where your fruit can develop. After you've gotten that, replay this episode and then start to think about, okay, then we got to systemize. Now, after I've gotten something valuable that I can actually do on a repeatable basis, then you start to do the next thing. But I wouldn't focus on that. First, start figuring out what you can do well that somebody actually needs and wants.
Then, just to piggyback on what he said, after you figure out what you do well, going back to our previous point, identify what you cannot do well. Mm-hmm. What you cannot be the best in the world at, because those are the pieces and elements of the team that you need to bring on board. You don't need to do everything great, but you do need to have all your bases covered. And this may be where you can collaborate with like-minded individuals. And the last piece of advice, I think I would want to say, it really is the most important that I want to give. Mm-hmm. And it's, whatever you're putting your sights on, make sure the Spirit of the Lord is in it.
Yeah.
Ask for clarity from God and ask Him to show you and reveal what's already been put in you, because we all have unique gifts, talents, and we all have a mission and a plan for our lives. And we need to constantly consult with God for clarification to show us where we need to be spending more time in.
That's a fact. Because the thing that I didn't blatantly say is God put that in you. God put those gifts in you. God made you a certain way. God handed you that passion because He wanted you to do something with it. So I mean, that's what he just said is the key.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Today for Tomorrow podcast. We are so happy that you are here. Fellas, how y'all feeling today?
I feel good, man. I don't know about you. But you look a little different today, Martell.
Is that right?
Yeah. We'll talk about that another day.
Yeah, I feel good, man. We're good.
Good, awesome. Well, today we're taking a little bit of a different approach today. So your normal Today for Tomorrow podcast, we are going to talk about something that is very much spiritual, Bible. Well, it's always going to be that, but we'll have more of a mindset topic. Today we want to get a little bit more practical. We want to talk about some nuts and bolts. We want to talk about business. So on these next little series of episodes that we have here, we're going to be given like some practical information on like thoughts about business, concepts in business, foundations. There are things that you can pretty much just go ahead and take and use today. And because we've talked about it like in parts, but we've never just gone deep into business, you know? And so kind of to start that off, I want to, because I don't think you guys know like anything about us. You know, you know our thoughts, but I don't think you really know like, you know, what these dudes do like on a day-to-day basis. Like you probably have to understand that he does some sort of business and maybe some real estate or here and there. You know, he does some ministry things, you know, and there's Freedom in Christ ministry, all that good stuff. But you don't really know like who this guy is or who that guy is. So,
Or who you are.
Or who I am. So today, let's just go ahead and give a brief, a 30 to 60 second bio about like a resume, 30 to 60 second resume. And then we're going to go ahead and talk about marketing today. Okay? So if marketing is the thing that you're trying to figure out, this is definitely the episode for you. It's going to be some gems in this. I guarantee it. All right, Mike, you want to kick us off?
Sure. So my name is Mike Wright. I have an undergraduate degree from Northwood University in marketing and business management. Have my MBA from Wayne State. Started my career in the corporate world. That's actually how I met Rodney. It wasn't Pastor Rodney at the time. It was Rodney, but he was a mentor for me when I was in the corporate world. And I was doing real estate on the side. Fast forward, I had a few more kids, got married, and now we have a 7-figure real estate portfolio.
All right.
Boom.
Hey, Rodney Kemp, been in the corporate world for about 31 years. However, as Mike said, got called to the ministry in 2007 and got called, my wife and I, to actually start a ministry and about 2.5 years ago called Freedom of Christ Ministry. And from there, basically that path has kind of been parallel to, starting a business in a sense.
Yeah.
Everything we had to do. And we're also in the process of kicking off the event space rental piece as well. So, met Mike, as you said, we met in the corporate world, but become brothers now. And I met Mr. Martell when we started the ministry. Day one, he was right there. And I let him talk about his business, but that's how I met him. Hey.
You didn't say, you said that you met him at your corporate, but you didn't say anything about what you do.
Oh, okay. Well, what I do there is
this is a big shot, like for real. He skipped over all of that.
Okay. I work in what you call parts supply logistics. So I've had the opportunity to kind of, and just, my undergrad electrical engineering, grad school, I went to Wayne State as well, undergrad Purdue. Went to seminary at Moody Bible Institute and master's there.
He still ain't saying nothing about what I told him.
What I've done, I worked in parts supply, just mean I worked in warehousing, making sure we get parts in and out, worked in systems, launching systems as far as I go, globally, dealing with system management as well as inventory management as well too. So that's I'll leave it at that.
This is high level executive.
There we go. Come on now.
He's somebody that when you're in this particular company, he's one of the guys that you want to go talk to. So he's definitely a well-respected executive.
When they pulled it out, all right. Go ahead.
Man, one day we got to have like maybe a sidebar episode about like humility, because this is a super humble guy. But this is the 30 seconds not to be humble. You got to talk.
You know what though? I was thinking. I knew he was going to do that too. And it is a little. I think when we do that type of things, we almost need to have like somebody else do the intro, because
maybe
it is a little like it feels a little weird when you're like talking about yourself. Even though we have to do it because We got new people in the audience, but I think it is a little awkward just to kind of, rattle off your
It always has been for me, so I'll be honest with you.
Maybe we should do that. We could probably, we'll figure that out, and then we'll share around. Okay.
I will say this though, it's very important, and I understand why we have to do that though, because before we start talking business, we want to qualify ourselves as people that when we're saying certain things, we're not saying that it's 100% bulletproof, but we want you to understand that we're coming with a certain level of experience and expertise to inject certain information. Now, you still take that information with a grain of salt, go do your own due diligence. We're just saying what has either worked for us or has not worked for us, and we just want to help others get along their path.
Yeah. And I'm glad that you mentioned that, because that's the reason that we're doing this bio in the beginning right here. Just so you understand that we not just random dudes off the street talking about business, Right. We're not internet gurus.
You got to do yourself, sir.
So, and also too, on that same subject, because I love the humility thing, but I'm one of those people who's like, I might lose, but I'm also going to win. And I'm going to tell you about both. But I just so happen to win a little bit more than I lose. Right. And so it's like, I'm just open to say it. But, so me, I would say that I'm more of a client acquisition specialist. I was just saying that I'm in advertising, but I think I've built so many marketing systems that at this point it ranges more than just advertising, which is the paid side. So at this point, I have a job and I do a business. So I recently started a agency that actually does client acquisition. It does marketing for small businesses. And then in the job, I create ads. So I'm in advertising. And so my ads, on average, bring in about 3 to 4 million a month. And now I took those same systems that work so well, been the top performer all year. Nobody has ever gotten ahead of me in it. Now I've taken those same systems and I've applied it to the small business space, and we've been able to cut industry records in half, about what we can do for clients in a month. And we've literally been able to do it in a 60-day period of the onboarding. So we do a lot in terms of marketing. So that's why I'm excited about this one in particular. So to start this thing off, let me just preface. Let me set the foundation here. Now, when it comes to marketing, what I think a lot of people don't really understand is, I think the misconception is, so marketing is just, if I just throw up a billboard, I'm marketing my business. If I just post on social media, I'm marketing my business. If I, X, Y, and Z, I got to put flyers out, and that's marketing my business. These are all ways to do it, but essentially you have 3 core categories of marketing. There's inbound, outbound, paid. Inbound is something that you would do an organic social media. So if you're posting or you're creating content, you got a YouTube channel, or let's say you put a public access show on TV. But essentially, you're selling something, but you're not directly selling the thing. You're putting out content that has some sort of value to somebody else that attracts them to you. And then from that, they can learn more about what you do and they can buy from you. So that's inbound. And then you got outbound, where you got your cold calling, your cold email, your direct messaging, and things like that. So in terms of an outbound system, that's when you're going to have somebody who's literally got a whole list of 1,000 people, and they're calling up 200 people a day. And that's the people who are calling you on the phone telling you, hey, look, we've got this, and then you want to hear about it. And then they go on their spiel. That's an outbound system. And then you got a paid system. That's your TikTok ads, your Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. That's your TV commercials. That's your billboards. That's a paid system. The reason that it's different, it's just like the name. You buy attention. You're paying for eyeballs. Outbound is someone is doing your internal business is going out to the people. Inbound, you're creating something and bringing people to you. That's the difference between them. And in marketing, essentially, the way that I kind of rationalize the whole concept is it's how you get somebody to know about you, know about what you do. So with that, let's talk about it.
When we started, Martell been part of this journey, Mike has too, because we've talked about it, is that basically I didn't know what, we was like, hey, we're going to make a list of all our friends who we know, notify them, let them know what's happening and what's up. And let them know, hey, the ministry's gonna start, when it's gonna start, and getting the word out there, and using some of the things that Martell said, but not knowing, what marketing was in that respect. But, how can we emails? How can we, on Facebook, how can we get the information out to individuals and say, hey, we want you to come out, be part of what we're doing, be part of, this ministry, be part of what we're doing in the community and all that, and getting people excited about it.
Mm-hmm.
So we started out pretty much what I call reaching out, using emails, phone calls, and just word of mouth.
I think when we typically start and we're like trying to get our thing out, like get the word out about our thing, I think it's always a great place to start is an outbound system because it doesn't cost. You already know people, but there's a difference between like a cold audience and a warm audience. A cold audience is the people who you're going to talk to who have no idea about you, like no idea about what you're doing. And it takes more work to get them to actually buy from you. They typically say it's about 7 to 14 touches before you get somebody who doesn't know about you to actually buy something from you. That's the point of a podcast type thing where people sell something on the back end. But like a warm audience, that's your whole contact list. They feel like, oh man, I don't know anybody. How can I, start my business? I don't have a big audience like Mike does, or I don't have a, this and that on Instagram or whatever. But it's like, do you know somebody? Do you have a friend? Call them. Right. Go ahead, get them on the phone and start telling them about what you do and see what happens,
As we're talking, it just got me thinking, and it's something I feel like we do have to address, an elephant in the room. Even a little bit more upstream from telling everybody about what you're doing, make sure you have a viable product that you really want to get behind. Because I get a lot of different ideas that come to me, like a lot, what I'm saying? Different people just running things by me and seeing what I think. And I tend to ask a lot of questions because I don't want to, give my opinion on too much. It's more than one way to skin a cat. Ultimately, if you believe in it, that's really what's going to be the determining factor. What I will do is ask some qualifying questions to just kind of, peel back the layers of the onion. And so one of the things that I think even like to drill down more on before we just like dive straight into marketing, we really have to emphasize like what is the ultimate product, what is the ultimate mission, and like we were talking about earlier, what's the outcome that we want? What's the desired outcome? And I think those questions have to be clearly answered and defined before you just go 100 miles an hour and you're trying to tell everybody about it. Because, what you don't want is to tell too many people and then you're like, a week later, you know what? Scratch that, I'm not doing it anymore. But hey, I got the next best thing. And then it's like, okay, cool, tell me about it. And then the following week, it's a whole different thing because what happens is now you're starting to peel away some of that trust and people are starting to be a little cautious.
Yeah. I said the preface because we're talking about marketing here, but like from a kingdom perspective, right? God doesn't like uneven scales. He doesn't want you to be selling something to somebody and you don't actually have anything of value. Like that's actually wrong. But the thing is, there's so many marketers that understand the principles, understand the fundamentals of marketing, how to get somebody to know about a thing that don't actually have a good product. Like they're not good at product development. Service develop. They're not good at service. And so they're bringing people to an empty house, but they're saying, your dreams are right across this doorway. Your dreams are right over here. Because like the reality is, and this is the hard truth, you don't, to get $1, you don't actually have to have something good. That's the hard part. That's the hard part. And so there's so many people who have such great things that they do. Like, oh man, this lady, she's been cooking since she was 3 years old. She makes the best cookies in this city, right? Everybody knows her for her cookies, right? Mm-hmm. But there's another lady who literally just goes to Kroger, grabs it, repackages it, puts her name on the front of it, but she knows how to market her business. Yep. So now she's got 100,000 people ordering her every single day. But homie over here, who's been cooking since she was 3, that everybody knows, she's pretty much broke. She can't even afford to keep the lights on.
Well, I think maybe it fits in that, but I think you're talking about the power of marketing too, okay? You talk about that. So going back to the whole product piece too, in that case, someone got a great product, but they don't know how to market it, so it don't get out. And and then you got somebody who has maybe, it's not even a product, but they repackaging it.
They just repackaging
and marketing it, and then selling like crazy. But the key is that one person knows how to market, they got an audience that they go after, they know how to tap into that audience. Whereas, and I think everybody who starts a business is not a great business person, which means they're not a great marketer. So the question is, when do you go get help in this area?
Basically, essentially what we're talking about is skill set, right? And that's another general principle that is extremely important. Like, you have to do a clear self-analysis and figure out where your strengths are and where your areas of opportunity are. And if you know you're strong, like, for example, the first chef that's making the cookies, they have an amazing product. That's their strength. But if they're not necessarily inclined to market the product well, they may need to collaborate with somebody that does. You know, you may need to contact a Martell or something. This is where that alignment comes in with just, you know, your circle. And I mean, you know, for us, we're spiritually led. So you have to be aware of the different entities and offerings that are available. Because a lot of times what happens is people will say, man, you know, I'm spending all this time making these cookies from scratch. Nobody's buying it. And they get frustrated with the result. But it's like, well, what are you doing? How many people have you told? You know, have you had any advertising? No, I didn't do any. It's like, well, you got to go back to your process. There's nothing wrong with the product. It's just you need to add some additional items to make it move the way you want it to move.
People get so frustrated, man, with the fact that they'll see somebody who I'm gonna give you a real life story. So, and this is when this principle that we're talking about right now, I had to find this out in real life. I found this out for myself in real life. I came out of Michigan State, and I had done so much in video, right? Like, I was directing the video board shows for every game. COVID happened, shut down all sports. I said, forget that. Cool. I'm a video producer for Cedar Point. Then ended up working for Comcast Business. Did a project over in Wisconsin. I'm killing in this thing. And so, like, the video thing, I'm so good. I was so good at video that I'm like, okay, cool. Now I'm going to create this business all around this. And it's just going to be great. It's just going to blow up, and I'm just going to be awesome, right? And that's just how it's going to work. But what I realized is, oh man, these people that I'm seeing online who do all these videos all the time, I'm better than them. I know for a fact my resume is ridiculous compared to this person right here, but they're getting all the business. I know for a fact, and everybody who's worked with me, they know what I produce is on a different level. But I just have no freaking idea how to get more people to know about what I do. And so that was my biggest issue, and that was my biggest frustration at that time. And it made me have to really shift and rethink what I was doing, because I'm like, I spent so much time, like, my thought was, okay, cool, let me just get better at video. So I'd buy courses on it. I'd go get more reps in it. I'd make random projects for myself to get better at it. And I was getting better and better and better. But the balance sheet wasn't bringing in more and more and more in revenue as I got better at the thing. There's a problem here. It's because I didn't know how to market it. And so I had to make a humongous shift. And that shift ended up resulting in learning this thing about advertising, and we figuring that out now.
Yeah, no, and I think everything we're talking about here, so people know, we're not sitting up here like, hey, we're experts, okay? And even the fact you got history, you learn, and that's your business now. You in turn are an expert in that respect. But the point though is that we haven't learned everything about it.
Oh yeah.
You went to school for marketing. You know what it is too. No, the point though is that as we talk about this is understanding what we know and what we don't know, and understanding what we need. And I think you knew, okay, wait a minute, I got all these skills, I got this product, and how do I get it out there?
I'm like, I'm dope.
But knowing your journey though, and watching you, me and Mike both could say this, it's been an evolution.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
everything you did, it didn't go for naught. It's not, now it's like you using that to help keep building. And I think that's the other thing. You know, when you market something, it's okay, what you can't market everything. If you tried to market everything you could do, you can't keep up. You couldn't do it.
It'd just be noise to people.
You know, we have this saying where it's more than one way to skin a cat, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm always thinking about multiple scenarios as we're talking. Because, so my personal journey, I'll share this, where I can market really well. You know, I've gone to school for it. I'm a pretty good salesman. But I don't really have an appetite to sell. Like, and I realized that after going to different jobs, and they're like, man, you're doing really well. We need you to sell more product, more. And I was like, man, I don't really like it. But the thing is, so what I did was I structured my business in a sense to where, like, for example, my real estate, we focus on an area with affordable housing and Section 8 that we knew the data was telling us there was a major shortage in this area. Mm-hmm. The customer list it's a 2-3 year waiting list. Mm-hmm. So we said, okay, cool. Because people ask me all the time, why don't you do more marketing for your business? I'm like, well, I've structured it so that I don't have to. The demand is already there. We're just fulfilling the need. But what that allows for someone like myself to do, that's going to run itself. Essentially, I'll say run itself. But
it's going to bring you
revenue,
clients.
Yeah, it's already there. I'm fulfilling the client's need. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But then what it does is it allows me to go do passion type products. Yeah. Where right now, podcasting, mentoring, apparel, I can pursue different lanes to where I'm not feeling that initial pressure of, I need so many clients, I gotta sell. Because I think that's the other part we have to talk about. When you choose a business that is extremely, I call it front-facing business, where you need customers to buy your thing in order for you to be successful. And essentially, you have to create the demand sometimes. Like, listen, you don't know that you need this, but let me tell you why you need. That's a lane that if you have an appetite for it, it can be extremely successful. That's pretty much how everything is sold. But I just, showing both sides where some people just don't, that's not necessarily what they want to do on a day-to-day basis. And you can't create lanes. So it's really about finding your niche.
I want to shift a little bit to kind of get somebody, because we talked about practicality. I want to make sure that they get like the nuts and bolts of this conversation. What you just kind of laid out there, I think is important, because when you have a product, let's just say you're making the cookies. Like Miss Tammy right here, she makes amazing cookies. What she's gonna have to figure out, I think first off, she's already in the wrong, because she decided on what she was gonna sell before she figured out who she was gonna sell to, who actually has a problem. Because that's the thing. It's like, if you don't even know if anybody wants the thing, and you're building a product or you're building a skill set based on just what you feel like doing, and you have no idea if anybody even wants this, you might be building it for nobody but yourself. And then if you're just paying yourself, then great. That's called a passion project. Don't call it a business. That's different. So it's like, when you decide on what you're doing, once you figure that out, you have to have somebody who actually wants it. I mean, I'm always doing like market research. If I'm working with a specific type of business, I got to figure out who needs this thing that you sell. Because if you're talking about, let's just say, for example, it's a luxury bag. Okay, that's not something that somebody needs to have. So you're going to have to market that a little bit different. You're going to have to play on the desires a little bit more. And you're going to have to go to a more affluent audience who actually has the income to pay for it. Versus if I have a home, you need somewhere to live, right? Or if I got like dental care, like people have teeth falling out of their face, that's a very pressing problem. Okay, I can market that a little bit different. But it always starts with who I'm marketing to before I create anything else.
Just listen, both of you guys talk about that. I'm trying to, and then you guys educated me and schooled me on this too. I mean, ministry is what God led me to start, right? So in people's mind, and I should have known this, my partner said the same thing. He said, well, Rod, the principles that you're going through, the same thing you do to start a business.
Yeah.
And it's true, you guys said the same thing multiple times too. And even when you talk about market, somebody gonna say, "Oh, well, man, how you market the church? That don't seem right." But in reality, you do need to do the same thing. I mean, you talked about, okay, who are we trying to target? Well, of course, you're targeting people that are saved or people that want a church family. But within that, that's a big group of people. Who do you focus on? Because you can't focus on everybody. And who does that message that you or type of service that you have, who does it benefit the most? All those same elements come into play even when we talk about ministry and everything else. And most of you, if you go to church, you look at your church, you go to the church where you feel comfortable. Look at the demographics of that church. Look at the age, look at how the service handled, how they dress, all this. All that goes into it. So when you know who you are as a church, then you know who you can go and you solicit to say, hey, come to our service, you might like it. I'm not going to go to someone who's wearing a 3-piece suit who wants to come dress up to go to church every Sunday, because that's not what we do.
The congregation typically reflects.
Yeah.
I mean, you say Elevation Church online where the pastor's buff and he's wearing like more laid back clothes. His whole congregation's doing the same thing.
Yeah.
It's like he knows who his audience is and he caters everything to it. But a point I wanted that you made me think of that kind of frustrates me that people don't really understand is like even free has to be sold. You understand that? Like even free, the person, so if I got my Timberland shirt on, my Timberland pants, and I go put on like a Gucci hat or something, and I go stand out on the street, and I need money because I'm homeless, nobody's giving me money. Why? Because they don't think I have a need. They're not feeling the pain that I'm in. They don't see it. But the person who looks like he's beat up, he's got it signed, I need help. I've got 3 kids, and I have no money. We have nothing to eat. He's marketing. He knew you were going to be driving down this street today. This street always has a certain amount of traffic. So he put himself, he's selling you right now. He's putting himself in a position to get the traffic that's coming by. And then he's also creating the desire because it's like, oh, I know you go to church. I know that you probably have a heart. I know that you're probably going to feel something when you see this sign and it says 3 kids on it. Now I've created a problem and a desire inside of you to now help me. Now, when I put out this hand and say, hey, I need some money, now you're more inclined to give it to me versus the person who's got the Gucci belt, the Timberland pants, and all this other stuff. He just sold free.
Interesting topic. It's a very loaded topic. And it's funny, like, this is how we know the Spirit's always leading because, so when we were setting up, Martell and I, Pastor Rod, he was on the call, we were having a conversation about the church and the ministry and business. Because, so we have Friends and Family Sunday, right? And it's always, I think when we, like you said, when we talk about ministry, people think about the word ministry, you feel good in that environment. But then when we talk about business, you start thinking about, all right, returns, financials. When the two blend, that's when the waters get a little muddy. And it's not because of the actual systems and the processes. It's because so much confusion with worldly tactics has integrated so many people's minds, and it goes so many different places. And I'm glad you brought that up because I think it's very true, like what you said. When you're starting anything, including a ministry, it is very much aligned with business. Everything is business. Like Martell, we're always selling it. And just to clarify, so when I talked about my business, I'm like, you know what? I didn't have an appetite to be a front-facing salesman. It's not to say that I don't sell, because essentially I'm still selling to the types of families that I want in my homes. I mean, we're all selling, but there are different aspects of selling. And that's important to clarify, because what happens is, for example, I'm a full-time entrepreneur now. A lot of people, all they want to talk about is, oh, I want to do that. I want to be able to do what I want to do. And I'm like, listen, man, it's so many things that come along with this, right? And so when I said, let's work backward. Let's talk about where you're at, the process, how we're going to get here. And the biggest thing I talk about is, what outcome do you want to achieve? Okay? Because it's not just, I want this freedom, I want this time. It's like, listen, figure out what outcome you ultimately want to achieve, and then figure out a lane of how to get that specific thing.
We started to drift off into our next phase of this whole business discussion, sales. And I just want to say this to everybody too. Sometimes when people hear sales, they think you're trying to push something, you said it a little earlier, that don't have value. But I know for a fact, all three of us, what we're selling is what we believe is going to make the next person better. In your case, when you talk about homes, you always say, hey, I want to give people homes that they can be proud of. So it's not like you selling some piece of real estate that's nobody wants. Somebody who's not maybe Section 8 will want this house and be proud of it. You marketing not because you got income to come from it, but the point though is that you believe in the people that you're marketing for, and you want them to be successful. And in ministry, I want people to be saved. I want people to come and understand what that means. So when you hear sales, you're trying to sell something. No, but if you try to sell something that's going to try to make somebody better, that's a whole different thing.
We're gonna get to that when we get to the sales conversation. There's so much on there, but like, in my opinion, you pretty much have, if you've got something that could benefit or change somebody's life, I think you really have a moral obligation to do the best selling, the best marketing that you possibly can. Because if you know that down the street, they literally selling trash, they like grabbing it from the trash can, relabeling it, repackaging it, and handing it to people, and you know that your stuff is actually going to change somebody's life, but they're marketing better than you need to step up. Yeah. Facts. I mean, like, you just need to step up.
That's real.
But also, too, Mike, I mean, these homes have to be somewhere where there is traffic, where someone can find out that you actually have them. So you're still marketing it.
And that goes back to that upstream data analysis. That's another point I want to touch on, where when you're choosing your lane, do some actual research, like get some actual data on what that lane entails. Because what happens is, in some cases, people go down certain lanes because their passion led them down there. Mm-hmm. But then when the money expectations in their mind aren't being met, it becomes frustrating to them. Yeah. But the whole thing was like, was that an industry that was dictating that type of salary or that type of income? And that's where I feel that, data-based conversations are so important. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Talk to some experts, go do some research. Don't just necessarily think that your passion is going to be profitable. Mm-hmm. If you can align your passion and your profit, awesome. Sometimes you have to choose a lane where you have aspects of passion, but then you also have a different lane where this is my profit lane. This is making sure the bills are getting paid, because you don't want to be in a situation where you're like, I'm doing something I'm really passionate about. I love what I'm doing. But every month you're like stressed out because the money's not there. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? Because that creates a whole different type of frustration.
Can we give, because I did mention practicality, and I want to really make sure that this is something that someone can rewatch, say, okay, boom, 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 let me do this today. So if you have like a principle or a set system that you feel like could benefit somebody in terms of marketing, we're just talking about marketing here, that you want to leave the people with today, what would that be?
Tap into your inner circle first. Like after you've done the upstream work and you figure out, okay, this is a lane that I really want to explore, tap into your network and get some real life feedback. Like you got to have real repetitions. You don't be afraid to, get negative feedback or getting, what if they don't like it? Like, it doesn't matter. Like, because that may not even be the ultimate thing, but you have to go through the progressions to figure it out. It may be the thing. You're never going to know if you just stay in concept phase. Mm-hmm. You have to move from conceptual to proof of concept. Okay, let's prove this thing up.
So I just say, look to see what other people are doing. I mean, that's one thing that I know Sherry and I did a lot, is to understand, okay, for who we're going to be, and then what are other people doing in this lane as far as the research, like Mike talked about, doing some research. I understand, the research you talked about, hey, Section 8 was like, there's a shortage. So you know what? there's opportunity there. You got to keep digging into it. So having something marketed, if it's not something somebody want or need, then it's a good chance that they're going to sell.
That's a
Can I
fact.
add on one thing?
Yes.
So another reason why I chose Section 8, not only did it align with my mission, but it gave more of a guarantee for me monthly. I was coming from an environment where I had a salary. I was making a pretty decent salary in the corporate world. When I chose to fully come out, I have a family to feed. I can't be chasing money. So I said, okay, these are the things that I don't want in my business. How can I make sure that this is not going to affect my business? So goes back to the data research.
That's important. When you even planning this whole business thing, and both what they just said is incredibly important. You going somewhere where it's not a significant problem, it's not a growing market, or the market size is way too small to actually support your goals, you're in the wrong spot. You're gonna be twisting your wheels and it's just gonna be painful until you realize that it's just not gonna work. And so what I would leave you with is the audience piece. I think today, if you're thinking about starting a business or you started a business and you're really trying to figure out the marketing aspect, really, really dive deep into who you're trying to talk to. What are their problems? What keeps them up at night? What are their dreams? What are their goals? And where are they on and offline, okay? Because when you start to tap into who this person really is and where they spend the most time, then you know how to get in front of them, right? So if your audience is always on TikTok, why the heck are you on TV? Right? If your audience is always on YouTube, then I need you to be on YouTube. But you have to know that. You can't, you're going to be spending a lot of money just trying to be everywhere, a lot of money and energy being everywhere. Be where they are and know what they watch. Make your stuff so it's tailored to them. You will always have a more effective marketing campaign when you do that.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Today for Tomorrow podcast. Fellas, by the way, this episode right here is going to be, I believe, the same. It's either the week before or the week of Christmas. So, Merry Christmas!
And Happy New Year, depending on when it's fall.
So, in the spirit of everything we've been talking about all year, we've got a verse, we've got a chapter, Exodus 18. Now, the other day, I was in the gym and I got a pretty interesting routine. But as a part of my meditation process, there's the morning prayer and everything, and then the Bible study, and then I continue that into the gym. And so that's when I really start to kind of meditate on it, on what I was already reading or praying about. And so when I got in there, I started, E.T. had a message, and it was
Eric Thomas.
Eric Thomas.
Okay.
And he was talking about essentially some of us, we take on too much. And he had highlighted, I think he highlighted this verse inside of Exodus 18, where it was a conversation between Moses' stepfather and Moses. Father-in-law, right. And then in that, I just took that verse and then I just kind of went through the whole chapter and I'm like, oh my goodness. That Holy Spirit was like, boom, stay right there. I got something for you right here. And I sent it to the fellas because I'm like, this is very much relevant. For the context of that verse, does anybody want to jump into it or?
Yeah, I mean, the overview, and it's funny, man. I know you sent it. I don't know why I thought Mike had sent it. We send verses to each other all the time. But the overview is Moses leading people out of Egypt. Everything was on him. Everybody was bringing everything to him. It's like he was a judge. He had to decide disputes. He had to settle all these different disagreements and all this other stuff. So it was all on him. So and I can't remember how many folks it was, but it was huge amount of people.
Yeah.
So that set the context up for what his father-in-law said as far as, hey, look, that's too much for you. You need to assign some people to assist you. And he pretty much gave him a structure to follow, how to manage all the people. And I would say how to manage anything in life, really.
Yeah, and I'm glad that we went into the context of it, because whenever we're dealing with a situation, it's not just the details that matter. we have to look at the whole scenario. So when you say his father-in-law came to him, so we know a few things just based on that statement, right? This is a older man. This is somebody older and probably, hopefully, a little bit more wiser with his age and maturity. Then this is his wife's father. Like you said, Moses was in a position of where he was the prophet. He was the one that everybody was listening to. And when we get elevated to certain positions by God, a lot of times we may feel like we have to make sure this thing goes right.
Yeah.
We got to be in control because God put us here. It's on us.
Yeah.
But the reality is we have a lot less control than we like to think.
Yeah.
And in this scenario, the reason why it was so timely for me, I think all of us, because we're all entrepreneurs. You Freedom in Christ, Focus 417, WCI Real Estate. We manage these type of scenarios every day, and this is the thing. What makes the word so cool is because a timely word, it can be so impactful. If you read this same verse 10 years ago or 10 years in the future, it may not have the same impact. But because of, we talk about these conversations all the time where we do have moments where we feel like we're doing too much and we need to put people in place, but it's also like, oh, can we trust them with our baby, essentially? This is our thing, and that's kind of what jumped out to me immediately when his father-in-law said, basically, you don't have to set up properly.
This is definitely in the business series. For you already know this, but this is gonna be in the business series for sure. And if you haven't already gotten your Bible out, I go ahead. I'm gonna just let you know now. Go ahead and do that. We are on Exodus chapter 18. And actually, let me just read a little bit of this because Rodney gave the context. Mike broke it down a little bit about what we talk about here. Let's get straight into it. So verse 17, and Moses' father-in-law said unto him, the thing that thou doest is not good. So essentially what Rodney was saying beforehand, it was like, look, he looked and saw all of this. Like you got people, you sit from morning till evening counseling all of these people all day, that's what you're doing. And so his father-in-law says, literally, this is not good. Now, I'm pausing here because that stood out to me. Because we know, think about it. We're talking about Moses. This is the guy who led him out of Egypt. Let
my people go.
Right. This is that Moses.
Yeah.
And then his father-in-law, that's not good. Whoa.
Yeah.
You saying the thing that Moses is doing is not good. That's crazy. And go ahead.
I was gonna say, so what's important in that, I want everybody to understand, because we talk about this with, Men 2.0 or just anything. Having the right people around you and being humble enough to accept coaching. Like one of the things I always use an example like Rodney. Rodney, whenever we go into a room, Rodney's the leader. You know what I'm saying? He already knows that. Now, as many times that Rodney will say, Mike, you lead on this, or he knows that I'm capable. This key word, capable, and I will take lead in certain things. But the reason why this is so important to reiterate is the fact that there's never a power struggle. Who's the leader? Yeah. We already accept that. So going back to your point, this is Moses. Odds are not too many people are going to even say something like this to Moses because of his position at this point. Yeah. He's already the guy. He's unquestioned. This is a part of why he has so many people lining up just to hear him speak, because he's already been appointed that position by God. That's not debatable. So it had to be a certain person, a certain respect level, a certain humility. And a lot of times, just being honest, this has to come from somebody older than you. And this is something that a lot of people need to understand, because I see a lot of people younger than me, and they always want to lead everything. I'm leading this, I'm leading a conference over here, I'm leading Bible study over here. Who are you being led by though? Who are you being led by? Like that's just important as leading others, allowing yourself to be led.
Important point too, and I'm glad that you went there. It's like, it's the fact that he said that it's not good. I think in business,
I've experienced this. I'm sure anybody who's been building something has experienced this at some point. You're probably here right now. But it's like you can get to the point where you've got so much operation, you've got so many things to do, your list continues to get longer and longer, and you literally cannot get it all done. To the point where now this good thing has now become not a good thing because you can't even fulfill it.
No.
You've got more demand than you can actually supply. And now, and especially if it's all on you, like you have to be the one to approve everything, assign everything. You're the one who's making all the thoughts, decisions. Now that thing, it's gonna be a bad situation because I mean you are literally stretched way too thin. So when I see that come in, I'm like, oh, he saw it. He was watching this thing happen. He said, that's not good because there's people that need you. There's more than what you can do, more than what you have time to do.
Yeah, and you know, and that you guys are hitting on the points, and let's dig into why it's, you know, you saying why it's bad, but we're looking at the obvious, right? Because it's limited what he can do. But also, when we want to take up everything ourselves as leaders, it's like your health plays a part because you like sun up to sundown. Physically, it's impossible to do. So, and we've seen this too with individuals we interacted with or whatever, that when they do that, they beat themselves into the ground. So physically and mentally, they are fatigued. Then they also can't do the job, meaning that now you got a whole host of people that aren't getting your time or getting the answer. And then if you rush, now they're getting not so good of an answer because now you're trying to cycle it through. So when you talk about not good, it's not good for multiple reasons. And I want to touch on one thing that Mike said too, because this is the thing too, to talk about leading. Okay, so Mike later when it comes to FIC, stuff like that. But, you know, I look at Mike, I look at Martell, when it comes to certain things, it's like, if we're talking real estate and talking about my business, hey, look, dude, like I told Mike the other day, I said, I'm gonna be your intern, you know, at some point. So you, as a leader, you need to be able to be led too, is what I'm getting at. The point. Same thing, Martell, you have been in a situation where I'm like, hey, this is your expertise, this is your deal, dude. Hey, you tell me what you want me to do. And I think when you talk about Moses, sometimes, it's not this one, but we gotta realize sometimes we gotta be led and be humble enough to be led and know when we have to lead. There's a distinction there, you know what I'm saying?
I wanna go right back into the words too, because I feel like everything we're saying is just reiterating the point, but I want the people to understand like how thorough the Bible is. Like it's literally, and I'm coming out the NIV, so I think,
I just read the King yet.
The verbiage may be a little different. Sometimes I love going back to the King James, but sometimes me personally, I want it to hit me in language that I can immediately understand. So this is, the reason why I'm saying is because you make this choice. Coming out the NIV, it says very plainly, so Moses, verse 17, Moses' father-in-law replied, what you're doing is not good. So he told him just straight up, and now he's about to explain why. You and these people who come out to you will only wear yourselves out. The work is too heavy for you. You cannot handle it alone. Listen now to me, and I will give you some advice, and may God be with you. You must be the people's representative before God and bring their disputes to him. Teach them his decrees and instructions and show them the way they are to live and how they are to behave. But select capable men from all the people, men who fear God, trustworthy men who hate dishonest gain, and appoint them as officials over thousands, hundreds, fifties, and tens. And I'm gonna pause because I don't wanna steal all the thunder, but right here, like I stayed on this before I even moved on, because the key things that stood out to me is, and I'm doing this in real time with my real estate ventures. When you're choosing your team, the most important thing is you're choosing capable men who share the same values. They don't want dishonest gain. They're gonna be stand-up people, men or women, you know, and this, you know, we gotta remember the time, so we're saying men, but this applies to women too. What type of person are you? What's your principles? Where's your moral compass? Because if I know I don't have to worry about your moral compass, now I can focus on actual day-to-day. What do we need to accomplish as a team? If we have 100 things accomplished as a team and I'm kind of questioning where your moral aptitude is, that's a recipe for disaster. That's a recipe. Hear me clearly, like this is so important in today's terms because, man, people will wow you with their imagination and put it on a resume. They got a resume built off imagination, and it will sound incredible. And when you see them day to day, you will realize that you should have paid more attention to that daily walk versus just reading that paper.
Real talk.
You know,
Uh-huh.
so the crazy thing about that is like, I think a part of what even led me to, I guess, this area was kind of just looking at, I was actually reading this book about relationships, and it was talking about like characteristics to look for. And I know, and here he gives four very specific criteria. You'll notice that when God talks about looking for people and who he's going to choose to lead, it never has to do with, oh, that's the strongest, that's the tallest, that's this X, Y, and Z. It always comes down to the character. What kind of person are they really at the spirit soul level? Who is this person fundamentally? Because after that, he knows, and if you've recruited, if you found somebody who's got good character, you can build upon that. You can teach them whatever skill they need to know. But at the fundamental level here, do they have the character to support what you're putting on top of them? And that's what we're looking at right here. He didn't say, all right, let's find capable men who are strong and are well spoken in the city. No. He said, men of truth, hating covetousness. These are the people who you need to find. Now, like going, I want to go one verse back though too. I want to go one verse back because this stood out to me first. Because oftentimes, all wisdom, we know, fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. It's also the beginning of knowledge. And every fundamental thing, every fundamental truth in this world, I'm telling you, if it's tried and true and it cannot fail, God is the one who invented it, period. I went over in verse number 20. And thou shalt teach them ordinances and laws, and shalt show them the way wherein they must walk, and the work that they must do. When I went back and dove into the words ordinances and laws, I realized you translate those things, you've got policies and processes. Wait a minute, we talk about the first SOP.
Statement of work for everybody. Okay, all right. A statement. I'm
Operating
procedure. I'm thinking the SOW. So go ahead. But yeah, SOP.
He said, give them.
Thank y'all for the clarification.
Hey, no problem. He said, give them ordinances and laws, and then he told you what those things were, and it's like, oh my goodness, you break that down. You got to give them a rule book. Essentially, like these are the boundaries. Okay, so an ordinance essentially is setting the boundary. Okay, work within this. Don't go outside of these particular things. And then the law is the guidance, how you do the thing. That's step 1, step 2, step 3. These are going to help you to be successful in following the policy. And so when he outlined that, and then he said, all right, then we're going to give you capable men. You got to find capable men. Capable men with meaning that they fit this criteria of requirements in terms of characters. Then give them the ordinances and laws so they can lead. He just gave the blueprint.
That's the recipe.
It is. That recipe, and we're looking at Moses right now. We're looking at what he was going through. But you see that throughout the Bible, multiple areas. And Mike probably gonna go here. I'm gonna let him say this over for him. But I'm gonna start with Jesus. Jesus did with the disciples. He identified capable who's gonna be, because it was like a whole multitude of individuals who was the disciples initially. And then when he broke it down, who he was, hey, I'm the bread, like I'm the way. They said, whoa, we can't. A lot of them said, we can't take this. And he turned around, it was the 12. He had his men.
Boom.
Okay. And he poured into them. They had different roles within their group, and when he was gone, who took the message forward? That's how it grew. So Jesus, he's God. Yeah, could he do it? He could have. But the point was that he used an organizational structure to spread the gospel.
It's a God idea.
And it's another person that did this. One of Mike's favorite guys too. I don't know if you're gonna talk about it. I didn't want to take it away from your boy David.
Oh yeah, the mighty 30. David definitely showed that blueprint when he comprised his team, the mighty 30. What I was thinking about was, because we just left the mentorship, and sports comes up all the time, and I'm just thinking about when you're building your coaching staff, when you're selecting coaches for the culture, we got to understand attitude is always going to reflect leadership. So the kids, or the men, the workers, the soldiers, we have to set the tone at the top. If we have the right culture, then that's going to fall into place. If we have the wrong culture, that's going to be evident. I want to go to verse 24. And remember, I'm coming in the NIV just because I just happened to be what I put up on. But this is one of the most important things that I think Moses did. Once again, let's reiterate who Moses was at this point. He's the equivalent of LeBron James, somebody just he's the guy. He's the unquestioned guy.
Yep. Yeah.
It says on verse 24, first 2 words, Moses listened. I'm gonna just stop and pause right there.
Yep.
Moses listened. So, for one, he chose somebody that he respected, admired, had enough humility to give feedback on, because remember, he called out to his father-in-law, right? Yeah. He chose somebody that he knew had something to say. Then he actually listened. Says he listened to his father-in-law and did everything that he said. He chose capable men from all Israel and made them leaders of the people, officials over thousands, hundreds, fifties, and tens. They served as judges for the people at all times. Now, this is the important thing. We was just talking about this before the cameras came on. The difficult cases, they brought to Moses. But the simple ones, they decided themselves. Then Moses sent his father-in-law on his way, and Jethro returned to his own country. The reason why that is so important is because we only have so much energy in a day. We got to deal with reality. And you will wear yourself out in trying to be in positions that you do not need to be. Yeah. If you choose capable men and y'all develop that trust, you have to trust them to do their job. If you're leaving your spot, your position to go over there because you don't trust they're gonna do, not only are you not helping the team, you're gonna wear yourself out and you're never gonna build the team. Yeah. Main thing is, understand though, the difficult cases he still took on. That comes with being a leader of an organization. The buck got to stop somewhere. End of the day, if I represent the organization, my team is in place. I support my team. Now, when y'all get a situation and either you went through the chain of command and y'all can't handle it, you bring that to me. That's when I step in and I'm going to make sure we get this thing to the finish line. Yeah,
definitely.
I think there's two parts to that that I want to touch on that I think it was. So Moses hearkened to the voice of his father-in-law, and then he did it. We've got so much information today. I mean, ChatGPT, Google, Gemini. We've got everybody's got an AI tool now these days as well. We've got the regular old Google. We've got YouTube University. We've got libraries full of books. We've got Amazon Prime, who's going to get you a new one. We've got Kindle. We've got Amazon Cloud Reader, where you can just pull up any book and read. We have so much information, and it's like there's a whole generation of people who are just consuming, but not executing. Yeah. That was an important thing that just happened right there that we just read. Instruction was, well, first off, attention. He directed his attention to what was going on. Then he gave him the instruction on what to do. And then the immediate step was action. Yep. Moses went and did it.
Yeah, he did it.
That's what happened.
Did he?
Yeah.
And it wasn't like I hear you. Let me sit on this. Yeah. Let me sit on this for a couple of years. Let me meditate. Let me think about it. Let me put this on my vision board to maybe do sometime down the road. Let me put this as my 2026. No. He went to execution immediately.
And also, too, I think what's really important to highlight, a part of the able men is it's like, to the point that Mike was just making right there. The reality is, in order for you to lead able men, you have to be an able man yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, no, that's
Mirror.
real. That's real. That's real.
Because that's the reality. Like, if you go ahead, you can do your best and, finding all the criteria. It's in the Bible. I mean, it's free. Go ahead, find it. But the reality is, as soon as you find those people, you recruit them, you say, hey, look, I want you to be a part of this. I'm going to give you this. Your conversation's probably going to be off. They're going to know. If you just so happen to convince them to come on board, it's probably not going to last. Because the reality is, a shaky person will only lead a shaky organization.
Right.
That's the fact. If you're stuck and you've been stuck in the same place for this long, maybe you should take yourself through the criteria.
Yeah.
And then start recruiting.
You mean look in the mirror?
Come on, they out and available.
Look in the mirror?
No, that's good right there. That's gold, man. Because so it's this saying that I've been, I shared with the fellas and they came across my stratosphere, and it's like I've been thinking about it so much. And for me, it embodies like what we do so well. And it was used in the context of the animal kingdom, where it says the strength of the pack is the wolf. The strength of the wolf is the pack. So everything has to be in unison. And, when you talk about like David's mighty 30, the reason why they were so mighty is because they were all dangerous men individually. They were very dangerous. I mean, they were some of the coldest warriors, but they came together collectively for one mission, which was God's mission. And humility was at the forefront, because I think about that verse where David, he mentioned the fact that he was thirsty. Two of his men, they crossed enemy lines to go get him a drink of water, brought it back. Dave he was upset because he's like, bro, you risked your life to do. He poured the cup out. He didn't even want to drink it because he had that much respect and admiration for his crew. Like, if I'm thirsty and y'all thirsty, but you risk your life for me, I can't even drink that. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody looks at each other in the same, one band, one song, one family. And I think that right there is a lesson within itself. When you talk about a winning team, a winning organization, it's a selfless team, a selfless organization. Servant leadership. Too many people talk about leadership in the worldly context where, look at me, I'm the man, I'm driving this, I'm doing. The reality is, if your leader is always boasting and bragging, that tells a lot about the organization. Because like you just said, shaky men cannot lead strong organizations.
They don't work.
You know what, man? I know and we need to touch on this a little bit too, because Martell, you saying it too, like that whole shaky man thing. Because and shaky women too,
Speak on it, Pastor.
No, we gotta be real. Because sadly, that's what we're seeing.
Yeah.
We see individuals who, in the pulpits too, in business, especially in entrepreneurship, and they look and appear to be successful in what they're doing, but they shaky, sleight of hand. The truth is not there. Like the word, like you talked about, what's capable man, they don't fear God. These are the things we're talking about. And so when you see individuals like that, and I think we're discerning in that way, but if I see somebody like that, I'm not apt to follow. I'm not gonna follow that. You follow me? So, and it also breeds that same type of behavior, which was y'all talking about. So shaky leaders, and I think you brought it up, Martell, have shaky followers.
Yeah.
So if they out there doing things the wrong way, they're creating more fruit that's doing that same thing. And we've seen that too as well. So when you look at organizations, you're like, well, hey, that organization's successful, but they're successful because they robbing people. They're successful because they're taking people's money. I mean, you sent the Instagram with Tommy Hearns, how this guy took his home and was playing this game. He got his home, foreclosed on it, then got it back to him. It was like this craziness. But the point I'm getting at is that success from the worldview can be seen, and you like, oh, that must be a good leader. You can't use that as your barometer. That's the point I'm getting at. It's got to be based on what we went through in these scriptures right here. What type of leader is it? you know, what that capable piece again. Right. What makes that person a capable leader? And we got to examine that. You know, I think you said looking in the mirror, but we also got to examine with individuals that we follow too, because sometimes we might think we're following a leader, and then we're like, whoa, wait a minute, something ain't right.
So let me, and I want to really unpack this because I think this is critical. When we say shaky leaders are going to represent a shaky team, this is a rule. And the reason why this is a rule, especially when we talk about, well, it's men or women, but right now, just speaking to the brothers, like, men are we're naturally wired to question everything. You know, we talk about it in the churches, we talk about it anywhere. They're always going to be looking and questioning because, to be honest, most men really think that they could do better in that spot.
Yes, exactly.
And it's not until adversity hit. That's why I said, when it's a little adversity and you, like Moses said, or like his father-in-law told him, when they have the difficult problems, bring that to me. Because guess what? Now I get to show the reason why I am where I am. And it's not coming from a position of arrogance. It's coming from a position of data and evidence. This is why I feel confident in us. When we win, though, we win as a team. But I'm going to make sure we get to the finish line. Yeah. And when we lose and we had those difficult losses, I'm going to say, you know what, this is my fault. Because as the leader in this organization, this goes for family too, it's not just business. As the leader in this organization or your household, that's on you. You should be spending enough time with God where he's giving you the direct orders. You're following it. If things aren't going right, you got to look in the mirror. You got to own that the buck has to stop somewhere. Yeah. The standard can't be moving or else you don't really have a standard.
No, you're right. And as you was talking, I'm thinking about quarterbacks. You think about when you got a solid quarterback that's a leader, when things are going bad in the game, who they looking? They looking at that quarterback or a coach or whatever the case may be. So, and like Mike's saying, definitely the household, because as men, let's be real, God made us to be leaders in our household. Whether you think you're leading or not, if you're not, you know, you like, oh, I'm not a leader. Yes, you are, because people are watching you. If you're a bad leader, they watching a bad leader in their household and they following it. Your sons, your daughters, your wife, all of them are following it and they're taking that, and you got to look in the mirror and say, okay, how am I leading? So I say that, I mean, it's important because as men, we do need to step up and lead like God has designed us to lead. And then I think that's what Mike's getting at too, and what you're saying, that's what I'm drawing from it. It's like, you know, we got to step up. I mean, when I say we, collectively, we got to step up.
I think, well, one thing that I just want to reemphasize is just the fact that God's word and the law, everything that he outlined in the word is the absolute truth. And that's really, that should be the basis of where you start to build everything else. Because these are what we call first principles or fundamentals, things that just, or laws, things that just don't change, like gravity, right? It doesn't, no matter what you try to do or how creative you get, it's still there. You might find something to counteract it so that you can have the law of lift where you can fly, but gravity never left. It's still there. And so that's the stuff we're talking about. If we're talking about building an organization that actually lasts, that actually stands the test of time, it has to be built on the fundamentals of God's word, because that just is the reality of it. We've talked about leadership and how, you know, in different verses inside of the Bible, it talks about do nothing out of selfish ambition or vainglory, but rather in humility value others above yourself. This is also a business principle. Because if we're thinking about building an organization, I have to be humble enough to listen to my father-in-law and then do what he says. I have to be able to say, you know what, I value you enough not to cut you short, to make sure you're getting the service that I told you I was going to give you. Yeah, I mean, we all throughout the scripture, it says, don't stay away from the love of money, but because the Lord said, never will I leave you and never will I forsake you. This is also one of the characteristics of the man that you should be. And when you stay away from it, then you can actually give somebody a reasonable paycheck to have them do the work that you hired them to do. You can't do that if you're so attached to the dollar, like, oh, well, I can't give nobody nothing because I got to hold this for myself. Stay away. Release that.
I'm gonna say, look, we gonna have to put a cap because otherwise we're gonna have to start charging the people. This, and usually we say, man, let's give them one. Look, just go watch the whole podcast again because it was nothing but just real bullets flying. Like this wasn't practice today. It was real Navy SEAL level. Like just go watch. Don't even take one take. Go back, stop. Replay, start from the beginning, and just really digest this, man.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Today, the Tomorrow podcast. So glad that you're here. If you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. We appreciate it. Fellas, how we doing?
Good.
This is another episode in our I would say business, but this would be like a second of a leadership series. So it's like both. It kind of
it's a hybrid. Yeah,
it's a hybrid. But to start it off and just have an open conversation here. So God, when inside of the Bible, he relates himself to two animals. Okay, there's the eagle and there's the lion. And I was looking at the lion, right, and then the lion everybody puts, I think you have a tattoo of a lion.
I do.
Right.
I got multiple tattoos on my head. Yeah, that's all. Yeah.
We know the lion as the king of the jungle. We know the lion as strong, ferocious. But the thing about it is when you look into like the capabilities of a lion, it's not the strongest animal, right? It's not the fastest animal. It's not the biggest animal either. But for some reason, the lion is still considered king. And God related himself to a lion. And so I look into that, and then I was thinking about, okay, what is it? What is it about the lion? If we already have the understanding that the lion isn't all these things, why relate yourself to the lion? Mm-hmm. Is it just because he's the king? What makes him the king? But the way this kind of relates to the leadership subject is because the thing about a lion is when a lion looks at an elephant, knowing that the elephant is bigger, knowing that the elephant could crush him, knowing that the elephant is this massive, ginormous creature that's probably bigger than anything he will see inside of the wild, he sees lunch. But the elephant sees danger.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
Yeah. No, that's good, man. It's crazy because we didn't really talk about, just letting y'all know. We didn't know exactly what the title was going to be on this one. We were like, let's just flow. But I love that you went there, man, because, obviously I have, a little bit of affliction for lions, like affinity, for lions. And yeah, everything that you said though, man. And it's funny because now I'm thinking about this first tattoo I got when I was 15 years old. And I wish, look, anybody wait to get your tattoos. I wish I would have waited because I'm like, I would have got it, more high quality. But even then, I remember from my earliest memories, and I talked to my mom about this. I tried to ask her, like, where did I get this affinity for lions from? She was like, since the beginning, you've always had it. And everything that you mentioned, that was why I was just enamored by the fact that the lion's attitude is like the way a lion carries itself. It's not because, like you said, it's not the facts of is he the most powerful animal in the jungle. It's just he's the king because of the way he produces when it's time to produce, right? And to me, I think as people, we have animal-like instincts. And so for me, I was, a lion's not always ferocious. It's ferocious when it's time to be ferocious. A lion's not always on the attack, killing prey, but when it's time, they show up and they get it done. They're relentless. So no, this is a great topic to kind of dissect and, how to correlate how do you tap into some of those animalistic instincts and incorporate like in our leadership life, our everyday life.
Yeah, no, I was just looking up a lion, why it's the king of the jungle, because I never really thought about it. You hear it and you see it, but the description was like, they call it an apex warrior, and it has no, nothing preys on it. Yeah, but it's strategic, it's powerful, it's strong. So it's a combination, to your point. It might not be the smartest animal, but it's strategic in what it does. It has that whole balance, that combination of all those things to make it the king, because, and you think, I used to watch Wild Kingdom back in the day. Y'all might not know about Wild Kingdom.
No, I did. I used to watch it too.
Yeah, and you watch them when they hunt. You know what I mean? They'll look at a herd, and there's power in the herd. So they knew they would look for the strays, the weakest ones. You know what I mean? And that's where they would attack. So they wouldn't attack at the heart of something. They had to figure out where's the best entry point. And so we talk about leadership. A leader understands what type of environment they're in.
Yeah.
They understand where the strengths are and the weaknesses are. You know what I'm saying? So, you think about even a lion leading the pack, they would have challengers, but they had to keep control. You know what I mean? They had to keep it in a way where if it's going to be peace, they had to make sure everybody knew they were the peacemaker. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you're saying. And it's funny because if my memory serves me correctly, but I think for every pack, it's only one male.
Yeah.
And like you said, at any point, it's the animal rules, so it can be challenged by another male lion that wants to take over that pack. And so going into the mindset of being a leader in an organization, a business, even a family, you're going to be challenged. And you have to be fit enough and able enough to rise up to the challenge. And so these are the things that another thing, when you're the leader, you're really serving the whole pack.
Yeah.
This is something that people don't realize, that, whenever you say you want to be in a position to lead others, you're going to spend 10 times the amount of serving, making sure everybody else's needs are being fulfilled. So it comes with a sense of responsibility that is not directly obvious to some people.
One thing that you said when you, after you gave your public service announcement, you mentioned a word. You said attitude. The lion has that attitude, and I think that is absolutely key to us here on this planet right now. Because the thing is, that's 100% true. The lion has a different attitude than every other animal. That apex, that is attitude. And so for us, I always go back to Genesis 1. What were we created for? We were created in the image of God, after his likeness, to have dominion. And so when I think about what is that, how does that relate to our leadership? How does that relate to how Jesus walked this earth? Jesus he was not the bodybuilder. He was not the big 300-pound, he wasn't doing that. And also too, I don't see a single verse about talking about how fast he ran.
No, how great athlete he was.
No, I also don't see a verse saying that although he could, he didn't just say, I'm gonna, because y'all pissed me off, I'm gonna send down fire from heaven. No. Jesus had a different attitude than everybody else. He knew what his assignment was. And so when we're talking about having dominion, being a leader on this earth right now, it's like we were literally just having a conversation about faith. Us knowing that in our makeup is the capacity and the potential to lead and have dominion over the area that God created us for. That means that there is nothing within the lane that you're supposed to be in that you should be afraid of, running away from. Every time you see a big challenge or an obstacle or a vision from God, lunch.
Yeah. No, the thing, what Mike said and what you're saying too, is one thing about being that servant. And then when you talk about Jesus, you think about the model as a leader, how he modeled leadership. He was a servant first, right? But at the same time, people challenged his leadership too. they came at him, the Pharisees, Sadducees, whatever, questioning him. And I'm pretty sure there's some other people that we didn't even read about that's probably coming. Even the people where he was born at, they saw him growing up. In a way, they challenged him because he couldn't do nothing at home because they're like, oh, you Jesus. You know what I'm saying? They didn't give him the respect he deserved.
Yeah.
So the point of getting at it, though, as a leader, though, how he handled all that, he handled it with the truth. He didn't back down from telling the truth. When God was being challenged or being, like the whole turn over the tables and so forth, he had what I call righteous anger because he's like, wait a minute, this ain't what this temple was made for. So he stood up is what I'm saying, what I'm getting at. And that attitude was like, hey, I'm coming to respect God's plan, not my own or what. I mean, well, Jesus is God, but I'm coming to respect what God is doing. That attitude is about doing what God is doing. Whereas like the lion, hey, he got an attitude because he's like, I know what I'm doing. I have a purpose.
Yeah, and, so one of the common words I think we're all kind of, repeating is the fact like a certain attitude when you conduct your business and you conduct your life. Mm-hmm. Because if a lion walked around and conducted themselves as a zebra, you would almost take yourself out of your rightful position, which is the king of the kings, right? King of the jungles. And you're putting yourself in a lower position simply based off of something that's internal. It may not even be real. And when you think about it in life, a lot of people, we come across people that do this on both ends of the spectrum. Some leaders walk into the room and you feel instantly motivated by them. You're like, man, this person got a presence. You talking about a business and you're like, you know what? I don't have all the details, but I like it. Let's go with it. Like, I think we can do it, because it's the attitude. Like, they're so sure it's going to happen. That gives me confidence. I have momentum based off of how sure they are, and I want to dive in and do my part. Then on the flip side, you get some people in the room, we call them I call them energy zappers. As soon as they come in the room, you feel drained. You're like, oh man, here goes so-and-so. You're like, man, here, I know they coming with some schemes and some lies and all types of stuff, but it all goes back to the attitude and how they've conduct themselves. And so another thing I was thinking about is just your name, man. The value that people place on your name is so powerful if it's based off of you just showing up, over the years, over the times. And this is something that I don't think enough people really take into consideration, because it's times where it's things that can happen and, or disappointments that people may not ever reprimand you for or chastise you for not showing up, but everything that you do is associated back to your name.
Yeah. And I want to take us down another, flip this for a minute. So we're talking about Lion being a good example of a leader characteristic, Jesus being the perfect example of a leader. So what happens with bad leadership? Because I'm saying that from a personal viewpoint where, sometimes I work for bad leaders. I've been around some bad leaders. And they're still in leadership. People still following them. But there's an impact to that, right?
Yeah.
And even in churches, you got some bad leaders. So what does that look like compared to what we were showing as a model leader? What does a bad leader look like? And then what's the impact of a bad leader? Because that's attitude too. There's attitude associated with that as well. I don't know which one of y'all want to jump in.
Yeah, I would say one of the quickest things that come to my mind is, in my mind, it's the opposite of being a leader is just being a selfish person, having a selfish nature where everything that you're doing, or a narcissistic nature, like everything that you're doing, you're thinking about how can this come back to benefit me? To me, in almost every situation, if you're leading with a narcissistic mindset, that's a recipe for disaster. And the problem is, it's not always obvious even to the person. A lot of people lead in this manner and they don't even realize that they're being narcissistic or selfish in their nature because they've been so wired to believe this is the way that they should. Maybe they've been shown the wrong example and they've adopted bad habits.
I think that part of the issue with bad leader, I think a bad leader or someone who is effectively leading people in the wrong direction is probably one of the worst crimes to mankind, honestly. Because influence is the most powerful weapon or tool, period, for man. And so to be a leader means that you have influence over other individuals.
Yeah.
And so to be misusing that or to be deliberately or intentionally going in the wrong direction or even ignorantly, there's a penalty for that. And I think one, when he said that you spotted somebody, you probably know about it. There's a few different characteristics that you could just name right off top, just because it's like, okay, obviously this is a bad picture right here. But I think as believers, I think it's very important that we are hyper cautious of what we're doing and why we're doing it. Because to Mike's point, if you understand the why of what you're doing and you know that it's for your benefit, but the people are looking to you for help, but you don't serve them, you're serving yourself using them. Now you a different breed of person and you should be stopped. But I need to talk to the people who are following you, and I need them to start to think for themselves. Because every time when I see a lack of leadership, it always stems from a lack of identity. You don't know who you are. I know for a fact my life changed when I truly understood, when I truly started to understand the kingdom. When I read, from repent for the kingdom of heaven is at hand, from this time on, the only thing that Jesus preached or taught was repent for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. When I realized that, I'm like, okay, what is this kingdom thing? And then I started to put the pieces together. Oh, so in the beginning, we were created to have, we were above the angels at one point. We're created to have, we're supposed to be fruitful, multiply, subdue, replenish, have dominion over everything. We're supposed to rule this place. Something's off. This doesn't seem right. When I look around, I see sheep. And so, like, the crazy thing is, it's like, when you understand that you were built a certain way, when you understand that you are, as a believer, a child of God, a child of the King, there's authority that comes with that.
Yeah.
There's responsibility that comes with that. And there's dominion. And so that means that whatever you thought your potential was, it's infinitely greater. And now you need to conduct yourself as royalty because you are.
Yeah. And that's something I think that responsibility that comes with that. And, you know, I brought up the whole, what is the bad leader piece of that, because in reality, and you hit it on the head, whether the people watching this consider themselves a leader or they not, but at some point, everybody who are watching, you're following something or someone in some sense of, you know, whether it be your job, whether it be your church, whether it be somewhere. And it's key to identify whether you are following a good leader or a bad leader. It don't mean that leader don't need help in some areas, but what are some of the fundamental, we talked about being a servant, but what are some of the fundamental characteristics that you want a leader to have? We done touched on it, but can we lay it out in a way so people can say, okay, this person got the character traits of a good leader.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I think number one, before a leader is established, you have to understand what's their mission that they want to accomplish and what's the vision on how we can accomplish that mission. Okay, because in the beginning, if their mission isn't aligned with yours and the vision doesn't make sense to you, you don't feel like this is something you want to get behind, that's a very early sign that you may need to seek other areas that you want to go ahead and be in.
Mm.
Because, you know, my outlook has always been, I have to understand something. I have to be totally into something. I have to understand what we're doing for me to be totally into something.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
If it doesn't make sense to me, or I don't have faith in leadership that this is going to actually come to fruition, I'm never going to be all in.
Okay.
And so why even waste your time? Why waste my time? I'm going to go another route.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think if you want a list of characteristics, you can go to the fruits of the Spirit, and you can go to the definition of love from 1 Corinthians 13. It said, love is patient, love is kind,
Mm-hmm.
love is not envious, it does not boast,
Mm-hmm.
it's not self-seeking,
Mm-hmm.
it's not after itself. Fruits of the Spirit, temperance, forbearance, love,
Mm-hmm.
faithfulness. If you want to know what a leader is, it is all those things wrapped up in one. And the thing is, here in the world today, when you think of leader, you might think, oh, well, you know, I heard that Steve Jobs was a great leader because he used to yell at all of his teammates, and that's what whipped him into shape, and that's how this big thing was created. Jesus is the model of leadership because he didn't take the world's approach.
Mm-hmm.
He took the kingdom's approach.
And it's important because what you just said, I just think about a leader cares about the people that they lead.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? There's a legitimate concern there. You know, I've seen people who have been, I don't know, they done great with whether it be companies or whatever, and they see the person who was sweeping the floor, and they make that person know that they're important to them. You know what I'm saying? Because they care about that. You know, and then it might have been said here a little bit too, that other person, that bad leader feels like those individuals serve him, that they subject to him or her.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That these are my subjects, meaning not in the kingdom viewpoint where it's like you trying to make it better for the people and you care about them, but no, it's like they're at my beck and call to do what I want them to do.
I feel like you are not ready to be a leader until you are willing to go for something, whether no one follows you or not.
Mm.
I think that defines your path right there. Because the thing is, Jesus was going to be on Jesus' mission. He knew he was created for a specific reason, and he carried that out from the beginning.
That goes back to that vision piece.
Mm-hmm. And the whole thing, it's funny because we was kind of in the same frame of mind, but one of the biggest telltale signs of a true leader is how are they called to that position? Because I know Pastor Rodney and I, we talked about this many times, and we talked about it. I think you said you read a book where it's called like Reluctant Leadership.
No, I didn't read that book. But
okay, somebody would, yeah. So reluctant leadership is you come into a leadership position based on the needs of the many. And so you're the one that needs to be the shepherd in that sense. What doesn't happen is you come in the room saying, listen, I got to run the show. I got to be doing this. And that's to me always a red flag when people want to just assert themselves into the ultimate leadership positions when, you know, they haven't properly listed credentials. Are they qualified? We haven't properly vetted them. Does the team get behind them is one of the most important. Like, do you have the ability to articulate the vision in a manner to where people are going to want to be behind you? You know, and these are the things that a lot of times leaders they should be established through trials, because we need to see how you react when you're tested. When you go through, when things don't go right, that's when real leaders truly show up.
And this is something where we all got to look in the mirror too. We all are leaders in some form of fashion. And looking in the mirror to say, okay, where do I need to improve? You know what I mean? As we talk about this, and I think going back to Christ being that symbol of what they call the perfect leadership model, is where do I need to improve as a leader, whether it be in my household, whether it be in my family, my neighborhood, at the job, and business, whatever it may be. You know, I think that's a characteristic too. Where can I become better, you know, at what I'm doing?
I think it's important. I want to just restate what we were just talking about right there. It's just being a leader does not mean that there are people following you. Being a leader means that you have an actual mission, a purpose for what you're doing, and you're just going. And because of your conviction, because of your passion, because you will not be moved off of this path, people want to follow you.
So, I mean, I know we get to that point too to close, you know, kind of summarize this up in a way that, you know, we try to do at the end of the sessions. I don't know, either one of you got any thoughts on how to summarize something? Because I think it kind of speaks for itself, a lot of it, but what are some of those words or thoughts we want people to kind of take home and really, really ruminate on, as we say?
Ruminate.
Yes, that's true.
I think it all goes back to, you know, I mean, it always all goes back to the word, you know, the original blueprint where what we were created for, you know, in Genesis. We need to expand our vision and multiply. And I think we need to spend time talking to God and just really asking for clarity to show, where do I need to make my moves at? Where do I need to show up as a leader? And sometimes, it's another thing I don't know if we mentioned, but being a leader is taking a step back and allowing other people to come in the forefront because they may be better suited in different capacities. Yeah. And so that would be my one takeaway, is just try to be ultra aware of every situation, realizing that every situation is fluid. Mm-hmm. And in different scenarios, I tell my people all the time, like, listen, if you the expert in this matter, you know, I need you to give me feedback because that's why you're here. Mm-hmm. If I didn't trust your capacity, your capabilities, I wouldn't have you in this position. If you're not fit for the job, communicate that. Mm-hmm. And we can get some other people and we can get it figured. I mean, just being honest, we can get it figured out but a lot of times, you know, sometimes people need to be challenged in that manner to look at themselves as a leader, because it goes back to that attitude. Some people you don't wake up with the attitude of a lion. You know, that's something that has to be developed, nurtured, fostered. You know, like when we speak to the kids, we tell them, like, look, we see something in y'all. Mm-hmm. Y'all might not even see it yet, but we telling you that you can develop into something more than what you are.
It made me think about using the lion and Wild Kingdom as an example again. Sometimes you don't wake up wanting to be a lion that day. You know what I'm saying? I think about it in Wild Kingdom. Sometimes the lion was hurt, like might have hurt his paw or something like that. And then you could see it kind of shielding it, you know, trying to, you know, limp around a little bit. And then its challenger, whoever will see that weakness and then try to challenge it at the moments. And that lion will step up for the fight because they knew it had to fight. It wouldn't run. Mm-hmm. So, you know, that's part of that too. You're not going to always feel like leading. You're not going to always want to be put in that position. But no matter how you feel it, you know, you call to do what you call to do, and you got to step up into it. And that's that attitude.
I hope that one day, when you look in the mirror, you see who you really are. Because the day that I kind of understood the kingdom is when I actually saw myself. Because the thing is, sometimes, the lion that doesn't realize that they're a lion, they look in the water, they see their reflection, and they might get scared. What is that? Mm-hmm. The roar doesn't sound familiar. But when you realize who you are, you walk in it. Mm-hmm. You live like it. You act like it. Your attitude looks like it. Because you're different. You were born to have dominion. You were born in royalty. Mm-hmm. You ain't supposed to be the end. You're not supposed to be the tail. You're not supposed to be beneath. You're supposed to be on top. And that's how God made you to be.
Man, I think that's the dot on the I, man. I don't think there's anything else to add to that. I mean, that's on point. That's real. That's real. Going back to Genesis, putting it in this context, God created us to lead.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Today for Tomorrow podcast. We appreciate you for being here. Go ahead and subscribe if you have not already. And public service announcement. Rodney, what you got?
Hey, Man 2.0, come out second Saturday every month. Meet 10 a.m. to 12 p.m., actually noon. That's on, that is at 28202 Franklin Road, Southfield, Michigan. If you're in the area, Metro Detroit area, come on, check us out. And once again, we have Sunday service as well with Freedom of Christ Ministry on Sundays at 11:30 a.m. Same location. Come on out in person and worship God with us.
Come check us out on IG at Detroit Investor _WCI. Got some merch. Wearing one today where it says embrace the game, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Got some other taglines for you to check out too.
Fellas, ladies, people, if you out there right now, if you can hear me, I want you to know about something. Well, first off, let me identify. If you're one of those people who you've been reading the Bible for a while, or you're just getting reacquainted with the Bible, maybe you were in the church as a kid, you haven't been there in a while, you read the Bible on and off, but it's never really stuck. You never really understood it that well. That's why you haven't really been sticking with it. I got something for you. It's called the How to Read and Study the Bible Guide, completely free from Freedom in Christ Ministry. And it's going to actually walk you through step by step what to do before reading the Bible, how to understand it, how to be thinking before you get into it. And then it's going to give you these steps on how to dig deep into the word and truly see yourself. I want you to get that. It's inside of the information below, and I hope you enjoy it. We will definitely be celebrating you once you do. So thank you for tuning in to another episode. Again, I'm going to tell you to subscribe if you have not already, okay? I'm talking to you. Go ahead and press the button, okay? Thanks. And we're going to see y'all next week.
Peace.
Peace.